So, folks, welcome to this program. I'm very excited. I'm Neeraj. I'm your host. Today, we are going to focus on navigating data integration trends for 2025 and beyond. The way we're going to do this, first, I'm going to introduce myself, then, I will have Todd introduce himself. Then, we will kick off the discussion. So, I'm Neeraj Sabharwal. I'm the founding member of Enterprise Sales at Nexla. I have 25 plus years of data experience, and I have spent last several years in the data integration business. So I'm an engineer who turned into sales guy. So I come from a very strong technical background, and now I'm spending a lot of time with my current customers and the future customers. Todd, could you take a moment, introduce yourself, and we can just kick off the discussion?
Yes, pleasure to be here today. Todd Lebo, CEO of Ascend2. Ascend2 is a independent research firm. So we partner with companies on very relevant topics for business to try to find out what's working, how we can assist companies in understanding what's going on in their industries. So we work with hundreds of companies and we uh, research thousands and thousands of companies and have some very interesting data to share with you today.
Very nice. Yeah. So, Todd, I was looking at this research report, and you guys surveyed 300 plus data leaders and came up with this amazing research that sheds more light on future of data integration and its important role in shaping the modern business strategies. So, I'm actually very excited to talk to you about data integration challenges and how Gen AI is playing a huge role into this data integration and focus for the future, right? As I'm spending a lot of time with my potential customers and with my customers, and as we know that data velocity and data volume is increasing significantly, data leaders they're coming in, they're saying that you know what, we actually need more innovative, new ways to do data engineering so that we can make our data teams more productive. And personally, I have seen it that there's a significant increase in the data integration tools. But I'm actually very curious to learn from you based on your research, the survey that you guys did. What did you guys witness during the research?
Yes, it was really interesting because we, as you saw, we interviewed over 300 data professionals in the U.S. These are all larger companies, and many times we find some increase, but here we saw like a really large, like 43% said significant increase that they're having in their data integration demands. And so it's not just a small bump we're seeing here. I mean, we're seeing this impact all industries and all different sized companies. So it's a major, you know it's a major area to look at and to really dig deeper into what's going on.
Yeah, and this so Gen AI stuff and not writing code anymore or leveraging generative AI and the different low code, no code, pro code tools. That actually setting up a stage for the data leaders to make their data teams more productive. And I'm sure that as we are heading towards 2025, these numbers are going to change drastically because uh, nowadays, leaders they want to go to with their data products to market faster rather than just waiting for somebody to write code, right? And then this actually comes to the next topic, which I really want to drill down more into the challenges that are involved as part of the data integration. Because when you're bringing something new to your data ecosystem, there are folks they want to understand what is the implication, what is the impact of bringing these new tools or new vendor, and also as something new comes in which can generate the code, which can also handle things in a very low code no code way, what are the top challenges involved into that whole new innovative solution. And based on the research that you guys did, what are the different challenges that you've noticed in that during interviewing this or surveying this 300 plus leaders, and what are the different concerns they shared with you during that research?
Sure. As you can see, the top three here, were data security, which that really shouldn't surprise us at all, right? I
Yeah.
mean, like that's top of mind for all companies, with their data, data security and the process and protocols that you have, governance issues is right there at number two. And then also just this element of time, right? The aspect of, probably our most valuable asset is our time. And so companies, I think are having that challenge of, we have more demand, we see more opportunity, but with that opportunity, comes these security and governance issues, a time strain, on our departments, and it's something that I'm sure as you're talking to people, you're seeing some of these same challenges and probably have some interesting, ideas around them as well.
Yeah, it's if you look at the evolving technology landscape, we went from on-prem to cloud, and then virtual machines came in, then container-based architecture came in, then big data showed up, and now everybody's talking about generative AI. And during the journey of this moving data from on-prem systems to cloud, that actually raised the security concerns. And now as part of the data integration, you're bringing data from multiple sources, sending data to other sources, and during in the middle, you're transforming the data, you're cleaning up the data. And as the data leaves your on-prem ecosystem and goes into cloud, personally, I have seen that in last 10 years or so, as part of the cloud transformation, security concerns, data governance is playing a huge role. And Todd, you won't believe, actually every conversation that I'm having with my prospects, data lineage, data governance, data access control, data security is part of it, where they're saying that when we bring a new tool as part of the data integration, we want to make sure that there is a way, as a tool transforms the data, there's a way to track what are the changes being managed, or what are the changes being brought up by the business teams or the data teams as part of the integration. That takes to the next conversation. There is confusion in the market because every vendor has its own way of selling the value to the customers or potential customers. Then most of my customers, they always ask me, do I just need to stick with one tool, or can I just go with multiple tools as part of my ETL, ELT, and various integration styles that customers wants to follow as part of the use cases or rolling out their data products? So when you guys surveyed those 300 plus data professionals, what did you guys notice when it comes to having multiple data integration tools?
They have them. I mean, without a doubt, we're seeing, as you can see in this chart, 87% of the companies use three or more tools. And 10 plus is not uncommon. So I mean, there's a lot of different tools, and again, that kind of goes back to there's a lot of different needs that are out there, a lot of different opportunities. And so right now, and this kind of crossed, we looked at the data just to let you know in general. When we did this research study, we looked at based on company size, based on industry, success they're having. So we tried to slice and dice the data in many ways possible to get a better, get a better idea of, what's going on in the industry. And I would say, like in this one here, like, we saw this, the amount of tools across industries, across company size. It's a pretty, I would say, a pretty standard uh, evaluation of data tools.
Yeah. So as the more innovation is happening, and many startups, they are building or they have built more innovative ways of doing data integration. This is exactly what I'm noticing with my customers, where my prospects and customers, they are coming in, they're saying, you know what, Niraj, we used to have this legacy ETL tool, legacy low-code tool. That legacy tool does not really work really well in the cloud or more modern data technologies. So we need something like Nextla, where we can do low code, no code, and pro code way of doing data engineering, so that it can scale more modern technologies in the cloud native data services. So the trend I'm seeing is that customers, they're saying, we are stuck in our legacy ETL tool. We want to go to a more innovative tool like Nextla. Now there is a overlap period, and during the overlap period, as we do the migrations, we're going to have multiple tools. But as we standardize our data platform and standardize our data engineering practices, there is a still room for one or more tools for each use case. And and this is something I want to talk to you in next couple of minutes, how generative AI is changing the thought process for data leaders to adopt more than one data integration tools.
Yeah, and just a little quick note on before we go was, companies still have this goal, like they're trying to improve efficiency and reduce complexity. So when they're looking at their tools, they're looking at the next solutions. It's really with those goals in mind. How do we improve efficiency but reduce complexity?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned about the efficiency. That so productivity and efficiency, these are the two keywords every leader is talking to me nowadays. That I want to be more efficient and I want to be more productive. And actually, that brings up to this very interesting topic called data sharing. Uh, Big enterprises, they have their own internal customers, they have external customers, and they have a huge partner ecosystem, and then they also have their own vendors. And so this data is coming in, going out in various ways. And this is where the onboarding this intercompany data sources need comes into the picture, where I want, as a salesperson, I want more data to do more data driven analytics. In the same way, downstream machine learning teams, data science teams, business users, they also want to get access to the data. And downstream, as data gets cleaned up and data gets transformed, different vendors, different partners, they want to get access to the data. And I think this is where I am very curious to understand, when you guys did the research and when you guys were interviewing these professionals, what was their take on onboarding this new data sets and sharing the data sets?
Yeah, I mean, we saw a lot of the aspects of these industries, and across, it was across industries, from technology to healthcare to finance. I think, manufacturing, like all of these were, you know, there's going to be more data sharing needs, not less,
Yeah.
right? And what we saw was, there's increased demand to, they're seeing different ways that they can, use data, and really data as a product almost, but they're finding different needs, and they want to onboard more, right? And they're just looking. It's not a matter of, it's a challenge, so we're going to do less. It's more of it's a challenge, but we have to do it because there's more we need to do, and that provides a strategic, um, benefit to us
Yeah.
if we can do it successfully.
Yeah. Todd, very soon I will talk to you about a key term which is being trending in all of my conversations. It's called Gen AI ready data set. And, like every conversation that I'm having with my potential customers, they keep saying that Nextla has this 500 different data sources out of the box, and Nextla can connect with a semi-structured, unstructured data set, those data sources, and also can handle structured data sources too. So Nextla provides this hybrid layer to do all the Gen AI projects. And this is where, every conversation that I'm having with my prospects, they want to understand more that how this connected ecosystem and helping the data sharing problems, right? Because I cannot do my Gen AI, I cannot talk to a prompt if I don't have a data set, if I don't have a data which is cleaned up or ready to go. And this is where, the data sharing piece is keep coming up into my conversations. And especially, when you're working with external partners, these partners, they want data through APIs and various other formats. And Nextla is playing a huge role, and that's why this topic is very close to my heart, because we are delivering a lot of value when it comes to onboarding intercompany data sources. And you know what, this is actually bringing us to this very interesting topic, which I'm sure our audience is waiting to hear. So let me actually give you context how this conversation goes. Nvidia and Nextla, they did a partnership, and now we are getting a lot of inbounds where prospects, they want to understand, how Nextla is a game changer when it comes to generative AI RAG frameworks. And it's funny because every time I talk to a prospect, every time we do a demo, it's a light bulb moment for our potential customers that, okay, so we want to do Gen AI, but to do Gen AI, we also need data integration. So basically, data integration is at the core. On top of that, you start building your AI agents and generative AI applications. And this is where I'm very curious. When you guys were researching these professionals, what was their take when it comes to generative AI and data integration hand to hand?
Yeah, I mean, some of the things we saw was like that need for them to have strengthen their data foundations, their data workflows, reduce data silos, all in this aspect of, being able to have higher quality data so they could feed their Gen AI programs, right?
Yeah.
And, without that quality data, then they're unable to feed these programs that are critically important for them, right? And important for them to do it uh, quickly and efficiently, because there is a little aspect too, I think, of first to market. The first to be able to do it and do it well, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it has to be done and done well. And so I think from our research, we just saw like that aspect of like the data integration, that they were seeing that as kind of the foundation for their Gen I programs.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the numbers, it's mind blowing to me. 94% of organizations are using data integration for Gen AI. And actually, you know what? That echoes what I was saying earlier. That the way my conversation goes, the moment in first 3 minutes of the demo, the moment potential customers then they see, oh, Nextla has this 500 connectors. I can use drag and drop option. I can connect to source. I can start building my ETL framework. I can do data transformation using a low code, no code approach, and I can start releasing my data products faster. And data products in this context, let's say if I'm a Gen AI engineer, for me, cleaned data, the transformed data is a data product. Now, what I can do is I can start building AI agents and generative AI applications on top of that clean data. So the point here is that there is still that little confusion. There's a lot of noise as when it comes to generative AI in the market, because the noise is that, hey, my CIO, my CTO, my CFO wants to see a prompt where they can see more intelligent solutions. And as part of the intelligent solution, what engineers they are doing, they are going to the Google, they're downloading some open source project, they are putting those Lego pieces together, building open source based generative AI rack frameworks. But then when it comes to the scale, when it comes to the enterprise readiness, that security, that governance, the scale of the data set is missing. And uh, this is where the conversation goes, that, hey, we put together something using open source stuff. That stuff doesn't really work, because now we have to go from a POC or a initial demo to production. And this is where they are coming to us that, hey, Nextla, can you help? Because we noticed that you guys are working so closely with companies like Oaktree, companies like DoorDash, Johnson Johnson, and this is where Nvidia and Nextla announcement came in. So I think the point I'm trying to drive home is that it's crazy that how fast the conversation goes from generative AI to data integration, and then the moment prospects and potential customers they see, wow, you know what? I need to have data integration as part of generative AI. So that the research that you guys shared with us, this is amazing.
And it was also interesting that all companies are using it extensively,
Yeah.
but even at a slightly higher rate were the smaller, like 50 million to 500 million companies, which was kind of interesting from the aspect of, you know, just kind of a reminder that these are opportunities for, you know, very large companies, but also your mid-sized companies are finding opportunities, and it's doable for them. And so I thought that was interesting of the extensive use with those, 50 to $500 million companies.
Absolutely. And you know what? As we are heading towards 2025, I'm sure that as new budget is going to open up for the IT side and business side, we're going to start seeing more increase in the generative AI and data integration needs. So, Todd, when I was going through this research and when I read these numbers, and when I saw this top areas which requires more attention as part of the focusing on the future, personally, I felt that, oh wow, there are a lot of cool ideas in this research, because I'm sure that somewhere somebody is building some really cool startups, or building some cool features to handle these challenges, these areas which requires more attention. I'm actually very curious, and I'm very interested to know, what did you guys find out when it came to of future, and in what direction these engineers, these data leaders, they're heading towards, and what do they want as part of the future in their data integration.
Yeah, and I think the one great thing about this type of research, it really is a thinking tool for people. You can see what others are doing, and then you can think and project, and hopefully adjust your strategy based on the data. And so on this one, data quality management was number one. I mean,
Yeah.
and this is, I mean, I've been in research and uh, research data topics for many years, and it always comes down to data quality, right? When you're talking about data, it's data quality is,
Yeah.
I think, the present and the future, and it's just something that has to be done. It has to be done well.
Y-
Um,
I mean, I can echo this because um, imagine, right, when you go to ChatGPT or Claude or any of the prompts, and imagine that those prompts starts giving you wrong information just because they don't have a high quality of data. And so I am 200% with you on this, that data quality management is the one of the most important factor that these data leaders, they are looking at it. In addition to that, one thing I also noticed, that now folks, they don't want to write code. They are saying that, we are very open to low code, no code options built in, where I can just use NLP, natural language processing. I can just talk to a tool, and this is where Nextella has built-in functionality where you can just type simple English, and behind the scene, Nextella will automatically create the ETL workflow for you. And the moment engineers, especially engineers, the moment they see this, they're like, oh my god, so I can go to market faster with me, with my ETL data pipeline, and I can close this ticket, I can deliver this clean data to the business team faster, and they can start building their insight, they can start doing their analytics faster, they can start building their machine learning models faster by just using this Gen AI ML driven integration. you know I strongly feel, based on my experience, that these numbers are going to change drastically in next 6 months or so, because people don't want to write code. They want to use tools like Nextla or low code, no code tools to take care of their data products. What's your take on this?
I agree, and I think what you said as far as how much is going to change in the next 6 months, the next 12 months, is really insightful. And I know that we're going to be trying to come out with our next version of this research, so we
Yeah.
can do some trend analysis. But then also, I encourage anybody who's on the discussion today and is listening and looking at this data or this research report. We'd love to have your feedback on what other data points you would like us to look at, and what other data points would be helpful. But I definitely feel like, in the future, we're seeing this aspect of data quality. We're seeing people needing to tie that into specific, ROI. And one of the ones we saw was, them reducing costs is always a you know is always a big one. And we
Yeah.
saw that in a lot of the aspects of, like, how do you reduce costs? Well, reducing time spent, right? So less backlogs, uh, no code, areas that you can, streamline, is going to assist, in that reducing cost and being more efficient. So I think in the future, and our the research supports that aspect of different ways to reduce time, reduce backlogs, are all ways that the market's looking for.
Absolutely. Todd, just on the same topic, from the thought leadership, I want to share my thought, because I was having a recent conversation with the prospect, and they said that we are very interested to build a AI workbench. As part of our initiative, our biggest concern is data governance and compliance, because if I go a little bit technical, behind the scene, when you build your Gen AI applications, under the hood, you have to build a RAG framework. That's the most efficient way of doing Gen AI. And when you build a RAG framework, there's a thing called vector search and vector database. So Nextla has by default integration with various vector databases. But the challenge that this particular potential customer said, that he wants to make sure that at that level, if Neeraj does not have access to data or prompt, Neeraj should not be able to see the data. So that this data governance and compliance, and another thing which I'm doing a lot of research is basically it's called CBAC. CBAC is context-based access control. So there's a lot going on in this space, and I'm sure that as we are marching towards 2025, enterprises, they're going to start going into production with their generative AI projects. We're going to start seeing more demand for real-time data integration and also more data governance and compliance needs. Um, so, so Todd, I want to actually switch gears. Data velocity is increasing. Of course, we are very familiar with this term, but I want to talk a little bit more about data variety. As the generative AI applications and many other data sources are keep evolving, that data varieties, which is different kind of data types, different kind of data sources, and different ways of doing generating data. What it does is it's actually generating the need of new connectors. I know, the new connector concept itself doesn't sound really sexy, but the point here is that as part of the data integration, one of the biggest challenge that I'm seeing from my customers is that they want to connect to new data sources as quickly as possible. You have two ways to do it. Either you can create your own connectors, which is the hard way to do it, because if you create your own connector, you have to put some money and time as part of the operational expense, and then you have to find a way to manage those connectors. Or you build a relationship with someone like Nextcloud, where we have a auto-generated way of creating new connectors. So when you guys were researching and serving all these folks, these data professional, what did you guys see as part of the trend of creating new connectors?
Well, yeah, we looked at based on time of like, how long does it take to build, like how many connectors, and then how long does it take? And you can see like this pretty pretty broad perspective, from 2 weeks to 2 months
Yeah.
is where the majority lie on this bell curve. So if you think about that from the perspective of your company, what's the difference between 2 weeks and 2 months? That can feel like a lifetime, right? And it can definitely, you know, at the very least, 2 months is probably a lot more back and forth with your management team on why this isn't completed, or with your partner, or whoever you're working with these connectors. So it's a pretty big issue, and it's there's, I guess this is one of those data points that we saw from the perspective of opportunity, right? There's
Yeah.
a big opportunity to reduce that time, and with that, you're going to get those efficiencies more quickly.
Yeah, and just echo that. So DoorDash is one of our customers, and what DoorDash to onboard new vendor and partner, instead of spending 2 months, they are able to reduce their onboarding time to 2 weeks by using Nextlaw. So just because we have this a built-in integration with 500 different data sources, and we have a way to auto generate connectors based on your needs. So these numbers, as you mentioned, it totally makes sense to me, and I'm sure that as we march towards 2025, and as the generative AI applications are going to take more implementations, the need for new connectors is going to keep going up. And this is where I really want to highlight to my audience that it's very important to have a solution in place, a product or some kind of service in place, where you can go to market faster with your data products by having ability to auto generate connectors based on your needs. So Todd, let's take a step back and let's talk about something as part of the emerging trends, technologies. We already talked about generative AI. Now if we go one level down, anything that you want to add from your side as part of the future opportunities and challenges which I have not highlighted?
Sure. A couple things. One, I did see over and over again when we looked at different data sets by company size, and I mentioned this earlier, but I did see this opportunity for smaller companies to take advantage of what's going on, and grow with their integration and their Gen AI. to me, that was kind of a telling, telling piece of data. Just that it's not, a lot of times companies feel like that it may be outside of their ability or framework, but the data didn't indicate that. So I thought that was very encouraging, and also just, and I think we touched upon this a little bit, but this aspect of, as we've been starting to research this topic more, it's just advancing so quickly, and so what was possible, what was not possible 6 months ago, now very well may be possible.
Yeah.
And so I think one of the things I would say would be to talk to some experts, so that, what maybe you put on the sideline 6 months or a year ago might be now, much more doable, and might have more efficient ways of handling it than it was before. So I think those, as I went through the data, that was some of the revelations that I saw that I think were important.
Yeah, and as I am spending a lot of time with the Fortune 500 companies talking about all this, their needs on the data integration, and when I explained this, my additional findings, which I noticed, data integration is a basically an umbrella term. Under that, you can, as you start unwrapping the term, you open this box where so many new ideas are there. So I always highlight these three key points to my potential customers that faster time to market is where you don't really have to do everything from scratch. You can buy a tool which can help you to go to market faster with your data products. And make sure, that's the second point, and make sure that when you are building a relationship, this new vendor generally understand your use case and delivering the value based on the use case. And when you're putting together a solution as part of your generative AI initiative, make sure that you don't miss a very important key point, which is data integration. Because without data integration, there is really no generative AI, because you do need generative AI ready data set. And the last piece, which I always highlight, you want to keep your team excited, right? The only way team can stay excited when you bring more innovative ways of doing things.
Yeah, and I think also too, and you mentioned it kind of just in your, as you were discussing, that looking at data as a product, and so it's not just a secondary component anymore.
Yeah,
But if you're really looking at it as a product, I think it's, and especially for encouragement for your department, I think that takes it from being just a resource to a product. I think is a very um, encouraging and a different mindset that the company and the department can look at.
very cool. Yeah, love what you just said, Todd. Todd, so that brings us to the end of this conversation. I'm so glad we were able to connect and we were able to have this conversation. Thank you so much. And folks, thanks you for chiming in. Todd, anything you would like to add before we depart from this program?
No, I would just encourage everybody to download the report, because there's a lot of additional data in the report. As you're going through it, feel free to contact either of us, I think, to ask questions so that we can dig deeper into the data to either get you, what the data says about it, or to provide answers if it's more of the connecting the research data to what I like to call it, like the so what factor. Like, what are you going to do about it? How are you going to respond to it? We'd be more than happy to assist you in any way possible.
Very nice. And folks, you can go to nexla.com, is nexla.com. And under resources tab, you can find the research report. Todd, thank you so much for spending time with me.
Oh, you're welcome. Have a great day.
See you. Bye.